In Bonnyville, Cold Lake, a long-time PC stranglehold faced its stiffest competition in years. Emmett Murphy has more on how voting in the constituency played out.
Okay guys, what does that mean?
After 15 years of PC rule, the Progressive Conservatives nearly lost the vote to the Wild Rose Party.
It was a little bit of nerves when the first couple of polls came in, and they weren't going my way.
After grabbing over 75% of the popular vote in 2008, incumbent Genialescu managed 49% this election, just 7% more than the Wild Rose's Roy Denanko.
In my heart, I knew it would go my way. I knew it wouldn't be as decisive as it was 4 years ago, but a win is a win.
Throughout the night, Denanko and Lescu traded leads, Denanko taking the majority of Bonnyville polls. Lescu was pushed over the top by winning 21 of 23 in Cold Lake.
We knew the Bonnyville-Cold Lake split, if you want to call it that, and I knew Cold Lake was my hill to climb. I didn't quite make it. They came through very strongly for Genya. The West End didn't come as strongly for me, but that's politics.
This riding is very, very split right now, and you can see that in the polls. You can see that in campaigning. She has to heal the constituency. She has to show some real leadership and find solutions to bring Cold Lake, Bonnyville, the North and the South together and have us start working together.
The people who voted Wild Rose are good people. When the dust has settled, they know that we need to work together. If we want to move forward, we want our area to progress, we need to work forward.
Emmett Murphy, Newcap News.
And it came down to the wire in Battle River Wainwright 2, but the Progressive Conservatives came out on top. Compared to last year's past, where voter turnout sat at around 50% in the riding, there was a drastic spike in voters this time around. Elise Cox brings us that story.
Incumbent Doug Griffiths was re-elected, but it wasn't without its tense moments.
It was a close race. It was extremely close. This riding, from the beginning of when the writ was dropped, we knew it was going to be a very close fight.
Suspense for so long. It was just everybody's pacing.
But Griffiths says it was a nice change of pace from the last provincial election, where he got 78% of the vote.
I know the Wild Rose is going to be a very strong opponent. They're going to play very hard. We're going to have great debates about policy.
Griffiths captured 47% of the vote, and the Wild Rose was close behind with 44%.
It was very close, and it was never to the point where you were ever excited or disappointed until the very end, because you didn't know who was going to win.
But this election stirred a lot of interest, even with younger voters. This was Dana Blackwell's first ever voting experience.
I knew it was important to vote, and I would always vote anyways, but it was such a pull, and I was in anything I could get. It was writing university exams at the same time, and on Twitter, and on trying to check everything and see what was going on.
And has even got underage teens impatiently waiting for their 18th birthday.
I can't wait to be one of the informed people voting and really deciding what's going on in the province.
Voter turnout is also above average in this constituency, with a turnout of about 63%.
This race was most exciting because it was close. People got engaged. The worst challenge was trying to talk to people about what we need to do to build better communities when nobody was interested in the race.
Candidates from the Alberta, Liberal and NDP parties were unavailable for comment. Elise Cox, Newcap News.
The SPCA has some great animals to show us up for adoption on this week's Pet Project. And Jennifer and Allison introduce us to the Adopt Me, Adopt My Shadow for Free project.
Hi and welcome to this week's Pet Project. I'm at the Lloydminster and District SPCA with Jennifer, and this is Fisher.
Yes, Fisher is 11 months old. He is such a lovable guy. He really likes his belly rubs and to be around people. He's definitely a goof. He's extremely high energy. He wants to run and play. He does need to be taught his manners. He's still very much a puppy in terms of jumping, being mouthy. He needs to be taught some definite obedience skills. He's already neutered, he's microchipped, he's up to date on all of his vaccines. He just needs a rabies vaccine. So he is good to go for that person that has some time and some patience to work on training with him. He'll turn into a great dog.
And this here is Beyonce, and who is that?
And this is Coco. They are sisters. They were originally born here at the shelter. They were adopted out. They're 4 years old now, and they actually were just brought back to the shelter. Family dynamics had changed, so they're up for adoption. They are sisters. They've been together their whole lives, so it would be great if they could be adopted together. Because of that, we're doing a Adopt Me, Adopt My Shadow for free program with these two cats, so that if you would like both of them together, it would just be for the price of one. And it's an amazing deal. I mean, they're both already spayed, they're microchipped, they're up to date on their vaccinations, they're pretty much ready to go. You'll also notice that Beyonce has one leg that's a little bit different. She was actually born that way, and as you'll see when she's walking around, she gets along just fine with her 3.5 legs. So these sweet little girls are up for adoption right now, and if anybody's interested in either of them or both of them together, hopefully they can come by the shelter for a meet and greet.
Perfect, and thanks for joining us on this week's Pet Project.
The Pet Project is sponsored by Quick Pick Waste Disposal. Locally owned and operated and serving urban, rural, and industrial customers in Lloydminster and region.
A huge stretch of land in Frog Lake is completely charred from a grass fire last night. Over 5 kilometers of property from the lake to Highway 897 was torched in under 20 minutes because of dry and windy condition. Firefighters aren't sure what started the blaze.
I think it might be lit by their cigarette butts. You know, they throw it out the window. And like during the season now, it's getting pretty dry now in summertime.
The fire burned a van but was stopped from spreading to area homes. And a bizarre scene late last night about 15 kilometers north of Lloydminster. Emergency crews responded to a call of an oil tanker trapped in a swampy area. The driver and his passenger were rescued soon after.
One passenger that was in the bunk seems to have some minor injuries in that. Members walked her out and ambulance has taken him to the hospital. My opinion,
but the cause of the accident wasn't as lucky.
Left the roadway due to cattle on the road. He swerved to miss them and ended up in the slough. The cow is deceased right now, and we're just trying to locate the farmer and check the fences along the highway to make sure we can get some repairs done so we don't have another one coming out on the highway tonight.
Since the tanker was empty at the time, there was no environmental damage from the accidents. Expect some changes at the Lloydminster Leisure Centre this summer. Some admission rates are on the rise, and there are some new options available for patrons. There's a slight bump in both client single admission and 10-time punch passes, and now care workers won't have to pay to watch over their clients in the facility. Patrons who are only using the gym will no longer have to pay to access the whole leisure centre. Instead of paying $6.75 as an adult, gym goers only have to pay $4.
Increased rates across the board. We handpicked rates that hadn't been changed over the past 5 years.
All the changes and increases are available on the city's website. The new rates will be in place at the Leisure Centre on June 1st. Meantime, the Servus Sports Centre will be a bit cooler come summertime. A new air conditioning unit is being installed in the facility later this spring. The entire project is estimated at just under $100,000 and has been approved in the city's 2012 budget. Currently, the city's ice-making plant is doing double duty, cooling the facility and keeping the ice frozen. And last year's hot temperatures wreaked havoc on the quality of the ice. City officials also received lots of complaints the center was just way too hot to work out in.
Participants in the gym as well as the walking track were experiencing fatigue very early in their workouts, and it got to the point where we had to provide iced water for them just to try and combat that fatigue.
Construction should start at the end of May, wrapping up at the end of June.